We're live. Good morning and welcome. We're just going to catch up and do a few tasky kind of things here while everybody hops in.
Good morning, everyone.
Yes.
Good
I'm just trying
morning.
to.
Good morning. Good morning.
Just trying to get some things up here. Okay. Welcome to. All right, Mel. I think if my stuff will let me get to where I'm going to, so I can pull up my notes and know what I'm talking about.
What in the world are you talking about, Jennifer?
I'm going to go ahead and get started.
All right.
You're right. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Hello, and I realize that we're having a little bit of a lag, and hopefully that will iron out once we get going here. So thank you so much for tuning in to Rose Toronto Astrology. My name is Jennifer Rose, and up there at the very top is my wife, Mel Rose. And today we are here talking about the weekly astrology, and we've got a full moon coming up. And we're going to recap last week a little bit and all kinds of fun stuff. So we do this every Sunday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. On Thursdays, we're also live at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we would really, really appreciate it if you would subscribe, hit that like button on this video. It will really help us with the algorithm and to keep this content coming to you freely. Free-ish, let's say.
Free-ish.
Now, while I say free-ish, I am working on a full moon in Capricorn spell tarot card reading and a curated playlist. And one or parts or all of it will be up for sale within the next day or two. So please watch our socials if you're not following us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, please do so. And I don't know enough details about it yet because I'm going to prep for it today, but it's going to be Midwestern style and it's going to involve some corn. So there you go. So anyway, as I said, we've got a full moon coming, but first I wanted to talk about a little bit before I hand you over to Mel to talk about the next week. I wanted to do a little bit of a recap. Now, look, I'm not going to lie to you. I got really overwhelmed when I started looking into recapping last week with everything that went down from Supreme Court rulings and just the news and the floods and everything, my goal was to kind of go back through and match the astrology with the current event, but I got completely overloaded. So I just decided that I wanted to focus on Diddy's acquittal. I mean, I know that he's going to be charged with a couple of charges, but it's not enough in my opinion. And Diddy was, we found out that information about Diddy on July 2nd. And on July 2nd, Venus conjunct Uranus was in action there. And actually, I think that Venus conjunct Uranus goes in on the 3rd. The energy was definitely pressurized and available to be used on that day for Diddy.
Mhm.
And, so a Venus conjunct Uranus brings sudden shifts and revelations and shocking twists and surprises.
Mhm.
And, we had a surprise and a legal development there. Am I off
Right.
on that,
No,
Mel? Or
you're right on
like shocking
target.
shifts and surprises?
Yeah, I'm sorry. You're right on target. And the fact that it's Venus makes this about also the way people relate to one another and involving creativity. So that's very much what that whole thing was about. They tried to make it a Rico kind of thing, and they tried to make it about his business dealings, but it was really about the relationships that he was having, the abuse in those relationships. There were surprising revelations that came out with that. And I would point out that, they didn't just set him free right away either, because the judge took seriously what he had heard about Combs's sort of violent tendencies. And so he didn't just want to set Combs free, knowing that there were people out there who had testified against him. So it's still up in the air a little bit what's going to happen with him. It's exciting. It's potentially unstable. And it's about our relationships and our creativity. So yeah, that was right on target with that.
Yeah, and I would say that it would be shocking and surprising that, again, another court didn't listen to women and what they said that happened to them in some victimization, but that's not the case. That's not very surprising, is it? I think that with every court case, honestly, when that happens, when I see the bravery of the women who got up there and took the stand and faced them, which is really, really difficult to do, so traumatizing. That's why a lot of people do not, talk about these things or turn in their abusers or rapists, but it's a little shocking to me, honestly. But like I said, every time one of these legal developments comes up, I always have hope that the courts are going to do the right thing this time, that, they have enough evidence that they need to actually do the right thing this time. And unfortunately, this time was not that time. So yeah, and I think that his sentencing is October 3rd. So we'll talk about that again, but I'm not even sure that he has to stay in jail, unfortunately. So wow.
For real.
Power and influence is really in the United States right now, from the top to Diddy.
I'm sure that the workings behind the scenes on that are really going down, because they want him out of county jail, and they've been holding him there. When did you say his sentencing trial is?
And that I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. When did you say his sentencing trial is?
I think it's October 3rd.
Okay.
His sentencing is, but last week was chock full of. To me, it's always surprising when the Supreme Court rules on something. And I wish I could say that I am shocked, but I'm always just really surprised. And I think that there were a few rulings that I really didn't agree with. And then we had the Senate and the House passing the big, beautiful bill. Like, I feel like all of this is still under all the same energy. So this is what we were looking at last week and what we talked about last week on Astro Insights. And now we got some different energy going on this week in the big scheme of things. And I'm going to turn it over to Melanie. I was going to turn it over in a more eloquent way, but I'm just going to kind of turn it over to Melanie so I can put a graphic up between us right now.
Okay, let's talk quickly. First of all, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for checking in on your regular current astrology. Thank you for opening yourself up to information that might help you navigate your own life and this wild, wild world that we live in, with hopefully more success and peace and prosperity. That's the whole idea. Just taking the information that we gather here, applying it to our own lives, so that hopefully we can move forward without having too much trouble, right? So where we are today, it is Sunday the 6th, and the moon is in Scorpio, and it's going to move on into Sagittarius later. So we've been in this moon in Scorpio vibe, which is very internal, like take care of myself on the inside, reflect on my stuff, be authentic with myself, tell the truth to myself kind of vibration. And then this afternoon, it moves down into Sagittarius. It's a much more social vibration. We feel a little adventurous in our hearts, even in our home lives. We want to socialize. We want to interact with other people. We feel curious. We want to get out and do fun things, explore, have new experiences. So I really like that vibe coming into the new week. And also today we have two positive things happening with Venus all at once, because basically Saturn and Neptune are conjunct, and they don't complete their conjunct until next year, but they are right up next to each other on the chart. If we're looking at this chart, I can't see it on the picture the way it is now, but there we are. If we're looking at this chart, It's over on the right-hand side, kind of in the upper right-hand corner of the chart where that big purple arrow is pointing. That's where Saturn and Neptune are together in the sky. Now, these are big, slow-moving planets, and they're going to be hanging out next to each other for a long time. What's new this week is that they're both retrograde in Aries. They're both getting ready to back up into Pisces. Remember, we've talked about that change over from Pisces to Aries, which is happening back and forth all year. And so that's where they're at, and they're right there together in the sky. Venus is cooperating with both of them today. So Venus, that's about that stuff we like, love, and can't get enough of. Venus is freshly in Gemini. So what we like, love, and can't get enough of right now is conversation, inspiration, ideas, sharing, self-expression. People who are good at self-expression. We want to be entertained. We want to be entertaining. And then it's in this cooperative vibe with the Saturn conjunct Neptune, which is a restriction and expansion. It's a dissolving of structures and boundaries that sets us up to be able to build new things. So when we're thinking about the plans that we're making for the future right now, we can be reflecting on how things have gone before. We can be putting aside what no longer works. We can say, oh, I really liked that, as an example, castle I was living in, but the waves hit it and it crumbled right into the sea. So now I have to take these stones from what I had before and build something new and better and less likely to crumble into the sea, right? And that's just being human. That's just starting over. We get to do it every once in a while. This is one of those years where we are looking at the way things are going to go forward for us in the future and putting behind us some stuff that no longer works for us. And in this cooperative vibration that we have today, and also with that moon going into Sagittarius, it feels very optimistic, and it feels like, yeah, we can do this. This is stuff that we can handle. So that's today. That's Sunday the 6th. Moving on into Monday. Uranus is going to move on into Gemini for the first time since 1940s. So remember last week, Venus and Uranus had that conjunction. And now this week, they both move over into Gemini. Uranus in Gemini for the first time since the 40s. It is seen as like a positive new approach to intellectual things, our mind, the way we communicate, the way we plan. Okay, it's supposed to bring about revolutions in communication, technological advancements. It's here to challenge our beliefs and give us an awakening consciousness about more technological things, but also just more data-driven things and more about our self-expression, which is also artistic self-expression. So Uranus in Gemini, we're revoluting. We're changing up the way we express ourselves. We're changing up the way we communicate with one another. We're changing the language. We're changing the means by which we communicate. And we're getting pretty high tech about it, I think, in the coming 13 to 14 years. There is the chart for today. And you can see Uranus on the chart at the very top of the screen there. It's right next to Venus. It moves on into Gemini. They're still somewhat conjunct. So that surprising energy that's coming about, those shakeups when it comes to like what you're drawn to or what is drawn to you, those changes, the changing availability of stuff is still very much part of the conversation at this time. It's intense, and there are shakeups involved. We just want to, really make sure that we're communicating honestly and clearly with ourselves and others as we go through these changes. And then also, the other great thing that's happening tomorrow on Monday is that Venus makes this trine to Pluto. It completes a trine to Pluto. You see Venus right at the top of the chart there, and then Pluto is kind of down to the right. If you go to a lower right-hand corner, there's a green line between them. So that's grace, that's allowing, that makes things happen very easily. And it does bring a certain intensity and passion to our relationships. There's like a combination here of love and karma, or even sex and karma. So, pay attention to your fertility, guard your fertility if that's something that you need to worry about. But there's a vibration about this where again, relationships could end or begin very quickly, but under this circumstance, if a relationship ends, we can even feel that it's kind of like for the better that it ends, and it just kind of lightens the load for us. So if you've been thinking for a while that you need to break off a relationship with somebody, and I'm not just talking about romance, I'm talking about partnerships of all kinds, or if you've been thinking that a relationship needs a drastic change, we need to set some boundaries, we need to make some things clear. Now's a good time to do that. With that Venus trining Pluto, we can communicate very clearly, we can sort of get what we want from the relationship and have it happen in an easy way. So that's what's happening tomorrow on Monday, the 7th. On Tuesday, the 8th, the moon is still in Sagittarius, but we're going to have no exact aspects, okay? So moon in Sagittarius, like what I like about Sagittarius is a certain plain-spokenness about them. And when the moon is in Sagittarius, we can have really frank and honest conversations. We can ask the challenging questions. We can ask the questions that give us a bigger, better understanding of sort of where we stand. And it also gives us sort of an adventurous spirit. A moon in Sagittarius is very lucky. It's a good time for opportunity. So if you're feeling lucky and the moon is in Sagittarius and you want to buy that, that lottery ticket, don't spend your final dollar on lottery tickets, but definitely when the moon is in Sagittarius, it's a good time to play. And then, it's also a good time for sort of spiritual questing. So if you want to, read up on your Tao Te Ching or your Tibetan Book of the Dead or whatever spiritual sort of path that you're on to learn more about yourself and your place in the universe, it's a good time for looking into that stuff. And then on Wednesday,
So
go ahead.
I have a question. So you're talking about, now you got my attention when you started talking about luck.
Of course, and the lottery.
I was just wondering, so, like you said lottery and I said hello. A Sagittarius moon, I don't know that there's any rhyme or reason to this, but would you think that someone who has a Sagittarius placement in their big three might be more apt to win?
Could be.
Or maybe somebody with a Sagittarius moon, just, do you think that energy is a little bit more powerful with someone with a Sagittarius placement right now?
I definitely do, especially if you have a sun, moon, or rising in Sagittarius, or if you have a lot of stuff going on in Sagittarius. You're definitely going to feel it more when the moon is in Sagittarius, and it is a more adventurous spirit. It does take a little more pluck when you feel lucky, right?
Right.
Definitely those who have stronger Sagittarian placements, especially if you are feeling more fortunate these days, if you pull a Wheel of Fortune card in your tarot card reading today, you might want to think about showing up for something that would represent good fortune for you. So, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and the rule with Jupiter is, Jupiter wants to give you everything that you want to have to make your life feel bigger and better and more prosperous. But you have to show up in the place where that good opportunity is going to be, and you have to show up in a way where you can be receptive to that opportunity. Okay, so if you're looking for a boyfriend, don't bring your ex-boyfriend. Right? That's what I mean by showing up in a way where good fortune might be, like, you don't hold a space for somebody. But also, if you want to win the lottery, you have to go buy the ticket. So, that's
Right.
it. Like, you can't just say, "Oh,
Right.
I would like to have some good luck today," in general, and you might have some good luck, but you got to be really specific when you're asking for what you're asking for, and it's a good thing to show up where you can receive it.
Yes, and ask for no strings attached.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, well, you said lucky, and I want to just talk about who might be feeling a little extra lucky. So thank you for answering that question for me. And I guess now we can go on to Wednesday if we
Okay,
must.
Wednesday the 9th, the moon moves on into Capricorn early in the morning, okay? Moon in Capricorn, this is about our long-term goals. It is discipline and practicality. It makes us, and like the moon, that's our private experience. Okay, so we're really focused on our goals and ambitions. We have discipline. We're trying to be practical. There's some cautious reservation in making our moves, a little bit of emotional detachment, like, okay, I need to not be very upset or excited about this. I just need to get into it and take care of business. And there's an increased work ethic with this moon. It's often associated with sort of sweat of the brow labor. So if you've got some work to do, if you've got some effort to put in on Wednesday, it's going to be a really good day to be putting that effort in. Also, because the moon is almost full that day, okay? The full moon is coming up the next day. So we're in that phase of the moon, the waxing gibbous moon, this beginning of this week, where we are taking action to complete the tasks that we set out to take care of back at the new moon, so that we can get to that full moon and say, hey, I did it again. I accomplished something this month. I can look back on my month and say that I took care of some business and got some things done. So especially with the Capricorn moon, that's what we want. We're very focused on our goals, and we want to have something complete in time for Thursday with the full moon. And then on Thursday, we have the full moon in Capricorn. That's happening around 3:30 in the afternoon. And a full moon is a culmination point. This is the moon at its biggest and brightest. We'll be able to see it a little bit better later on in the evening. I'll probably be observing the full moon on Thursday night and not on Wednesday night. I like to go out in the evening and observe it so that I can really be in touch with it. The moon rules my chart, so I'm very attuned to the moon. Anyway, the full moon in Capricorn around 3:30 p.m. It is a culmination point. It is a culmination point where we're thinking about what we have achieved in terms of, like the success that we seek, in terms of the prosperity that we seek. We're thinking about, and it becomes a time of assessment, right? We look back on what we have done, how we've achieved it, how we feel about it. We celebrate the good stuff. Yay, we got this done. And then, some assessment comes in. We start thinking about, like, is this my ambition? Did I meet my goal in the way that I would have liked to? And this gives us an opportunity to think about our routines, the boundaries we need to set, the greater self-discipline we always seem to need. It's also a good time for taking accountability, being responsible for your long-term success, understanding and being grateful for the fact that you can be responsible for your long-term respect and success. But it's also an important time, because when the moon is in Capricorn, this is a little bit of a push and pull between private life and public life. Capricorn is a very public life kind of sign, and we're talking about the moon, which is our private life. Okay, so we want to also pay attention to what the balance is between your personal life versus your professional life. Are you working too much? Are you not getting enough sleep? Are you not spending enough time with the people that hold you up and support you? And then also with the full moon, it's a good idea to notice what ideas that you had coming into this full moon that were actually limiting your potential and your ability to complete the goals that you got here, that got you here. And I think with the full moon, this is our reminder on the full moon on Thursday. I want to remind you all that we're going to have a spell up. We're going to have a reading up. Please, hit the notifications bell, like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, because you want to see the offerings that we have coming up. It's not just astrology and it's not just tarot. We do a lot of really great work on this channel just to sort of bring us all into alignment with the seasons and the cycles of the planets, which helps us navigate our own lives better. So I'm going to take a drink.
Midwest style, the Midwest full moon. I will be performing this full moon ritual, and there's corn involved.
Say,
and
come
that's the
shuck with
thumbnail
me.
for
Come shuck with me.
Come shuck with me.
Aw, shucks.
Come. You got to shuck it off. The full moon is about getting rid of, we're shucking it off, and we're going to write down what we're getting rid of on those, and we're going to burn it. And we're going to burn those shucks. We're going to tie them up and burn them. We're going to get rid of all those things that we've been meaning to get rid of. Finally, right now.
Release.
Release,
That's
release,
the full
release. We're
moon.
gonna start.
That's the full moon and the 2
Yeah,
weeks after
we're
the full
gonna
moon. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Push it out.
shucking
Shuck it.
out. Heckin' shucking out.
Tuck it in the shuck it bucket.
Oh, we could go all day with this.
All right. Okay, so then coming out of the full moon on Friday, the moon moves on into Aquarius. It does that pretty early in the day, well, around noon here. So the moon's going to move on into Aquarius. It's still ruled by Saturn, whether it's in Capricorn or in Aquarius. So it's still a pretty serious vibration. It's still very goal oriented. In Aquarius, it's a little more process, policy, and procedure oriented, systems oriented. So moon moves on into Aquarius on Friday. And the moon in Aquarius, it's intellectual. It's a little bit more independent and rebellious than a moon in Capricorn. Capricorn is very focused on structure and tradition and discipline, whereas the moon in Aquarius is a little bit more like, is that what we really want to do? We want to make sure that the actions we're taking are good for everybody involved. So it does invite us to break free from some of our routines, embrace our individuality a little bit, and it gives us an urge to gather together with like-minded people for greater effect in the world. So get out there on Friday, seek your allies, meet up with your friends, talk about the things that are important to you. It's going to be a great day for again socializing, but socializing in a way that we're talking about stuff that's important to us all.
I want to interject there. So Mel knows this, of course, but I'm having an EGD colonoscopy on Wednesday, and listening to Friday, it's like, oh, okay, so I'll probably have the results back, and I'm using this opportunity of a reset, like of a total and complete gut reset, to start really enacting the idea that I'm going to put healthier things into my mouth. Like I've been slowly but surely going through the process of doing that. And now I'm going to have this procedure. And then, on Friday, I feel like I will know the results, and I will also know I will have a really good, clear path, going forward.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'll probably have a little bit of answers and some way to move forward.
Right. And a good sort of systems mindset that says, okay, now this is like when and how I can put new things in, and like a very sort of, I want to say almost Virgo-and particular approach to the new idea going forward. I see a lot of similarities in Aquarius and Virgo. Personally,
I do too. Yes. All right. Well, I just want to interject.
Well, thank you for interjecting that. And then, just reminding us, we do have that full moon in Capricorn on Thursday, and I'm reminding us of that because when we come into Saturday, Saturn on Saturday, the ruler of Capricorn, the ruler of that full moon in Capricorn on Thursday, is going direct in not direct, retrograde in Aries. So Saturn stationing retrograde in Aries means that Saturn is standing still for this full moon in Capricorn. That means Saturn is pulling a lot of energy and attention and focus right now. And Saturn is very much about structure. It's about authority. It's about tradition. And I also want to say that Saturn is in Aries. So there's that authoritarian sort of mindset that's coming in with Saturn right now. It's very warlike. It's very aggressive and assertive, and it's very much about like, we're going to make things be one standard way all the way. So it feels a little bit like it feels a little scary, if I'm honest. I don't really like the direction the politics are going in a lot of places right now, and especially in my own home country and state. But it feels like this is going to be a little bit of a eye opener on Saturday in regards to the authoritarian impulses that we're living under right now. Definitely when Saturn stations retrograde, we are encouraged to focus on being responsible for ourselves and the things that we are responsible for. Discipline, challenges related to leadership, or that's something that we might encounter, like challenges with the people that we rely on for leadership, or if we are in leadership or in positions, we might have some trouble there. Saturn retrograde in Aries makes us really want to struggle for independence and assertiveness. It's a good time to look within and reevaluate how you approach your goals and ambitions. Notice what has not been working so that with this full moon, you can say, well, I don't do that anymore.
I like that. I like not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
I love how cleansing a full moon can be.
Yes. It's like, wow, especially when you realize you've been making something really hard. And that's the vibe it gives me, that Saturn going retrograde right after the full moon in Capricorn. It's just like, wow, you made that particular task or reaching that particular goal really tough, really difficult. And it didn't really get you anything, did it? So let's not do that again. Like, let's just, let's set aside that potential drive or that way of working, maybe try to do something a little bit different in the future. And then coming up on Sunday, the moon moves on into Pisces. It's really not a very active week, except for the moves that the moon is making, the full moon in Capricorn and that Saturn retrograde. But you've got Uranus going into Gemini as well. So there are big things happening this week, but it's just a few big things. And then it's mostly like the moon moves every 2.5 days. So on Sunday, the 13th, moon moves into Pisces. This gives us all some heightened sensitivity, empathy, compassion, intuitiveness. It may make us feel a little dreamy or want to engage in our escapist things. There's a potential
Overindulgent.
on next Sunday for some emotional overload. I would really recommend finding a creative outlet. You might be feeling artistically inspired, or maybe you're not. Maybe you're just feeling overwhelmed. It's a good way to sort of release some of the emotional overwhelm when you've got a creative outlet, whether it's sketching in a book or gardening or crocheting or whatever it is that you like to do. It can help really take the pressure off. And it's Sunday, moon in Pisces. It's the end of a cycle. It's time just to kick back and rest and explore and feel and create.
Yeah, I find it interesting. When you were saying that, I was like, uh-oh, we got a moon in Pisces. And I have a moon in Pisces, and moons in Pisces, we're overindulgent. I call us just, we're emo and intuitive, and we're empathic, and we feel everything. We feel community. We feel the darkness, we see the light. And I decided to draw a card to see what it is that we could do, to help us get through that Pisces moon feeling. And I'm really not shocked or surprised that I drew the 5 of Cups. that is like such a Pisces moon card if I've ever seen one. Okay.
Yeah.
And this is just kind of, crying over spilled milk, like crying over things or being upset about things, or still being in the emotional state of something that has happened and it has gone past. Focusing more on the 3 cups that are knocked over as opposed to the 2 cups that are there waiting for you to turn around and see them.
Right.
Waiting for you to understand them and pay attention to them. But we would rather, focus on those 3 that have been knocked over, and what you did to knock them over, and why it's your fault, and all of that kind of stuff,
Right.
So I want to exercise some caution here, like if you're feeling this way, make sure that you're surrounded by people that you love, that understand you. Don't go it alone. Don't sit by yourself if you don't have to, find a pal that will sit with you through the thick and thin. And, just know that there are so many things that aren't your fault. Okay. And it's just time that we forgive ourselves and move forward in the best ways that we can. Okay. And think about our escapist, the way that we escape this time, maybe we can do it a little bit differently. So
personally, as a Cancerian person, and the sun is in Cancer, so we're all a little bit Cancerian right now. I have a hard time letting go. When I feel like I've been wronged or something like was really embarrassing or distressing for me, then I have a hard time putting it behind me and letting it go. And cancers, they just clamp down on something and they keep feeling it and keep feeling it and keep feeling it and keep feeling it. So, I just want to say, as that kind of person, as sometimes a 5 of Cups kind of person, where I can't let the old stuff go, and or I feel like it's a struggle, I should say, to let the old stuff go and turn around and focus on the new stuff, the good stuff that I still have with me. All I can say is it's worth the effort. It's always worth the effort. And when I catch myself sort of ruminating on things that are past and that I can no longer do anything about them, I just have to stop, take a break, and say, look, whatever happened back then, that's what happened back then. And I'm not that same person. I've learned and I've grown. And, now is now, and I'm just going to do my best. And, move forward with the good things that are going on in my life. Yeah. So,
thank you for providing that. I think we have a little bit of a delay here. I was like, what? Huh? Where?
So the
Thank
last
you
thing I want to
for.
say before moving on is just that not this coming week, but the week after that, Mercury is going retrograde again. So we're going to talk about that in the coming week.
Okay. Woo. Sounds like fun.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like fun. All right. So are we moving to the tarot reading portion of this extravaganza?
Yes.
Yay.
So we usually do a 2-card reading for this, and this week we have a full moon in Capricorn. So I want to, a full moon is an opposition, and that, it always highlights sort of the full moon in Capricorn. Highlights the sort of duality of Capricorn versus Cancer, right? The sun is in Cancer. It's the hot time of year. The sun is really out all day, every day right now. That we love that balming, soothing water at this time. Cancer is a water sign, so it's time to be playing in the water, especially if you live in a hot place like us. And then, Capricorn is the opposite end of that. It kind of reminds us that there's a coldest, darkest part of the morning of the year too. And that's where Capricorn comes in, is like the longest, darkest day of the year. So it's fire and ice. It's hot and cold. It's also like water versus earth, like we're looking for the balance between very emotional and not emotional at all. We're looking for the balance between very active and not really active at all. That's what we're looking for. So I'm going to pull a card for Cancer, which is lively, active, it's defensive, it's home focused, it's warm weather, it's water, and it's full speed ahead. Sun in Cancer is full speed ahead. So when it comes to those Cancerian vibrations that we're all feeling right now because the sun is in Cancer, we want to just understand that, yeah, it's summertime and we're going to go ahead with the plans that we have made. To me, this is very much stick with the plan. Like whatever it is that you've chosen that you're going to do, you've got a dry, open road, a sunny day, and a full tank of gas so you can hit the road and get going, right? Full speed ahead with your summer plans for this week.
Like that. Yeah, I do get a planning vibe too. Like there's maybe it is that you're just now planning something, or you're in the end stages of being able to enjoy what it is that you've been working toward or planning. I really, really like that.
Yeah. So whatever it is that
I like the process of the 8 of Wands.
Mm-hmm. Oh, cool. Nice. You got a picture of it.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing that I do love about the 8 of Wands, and I don't know if it's like this with all Wands cards, but I can see the greenery growing,
Mhm.
on the wands themselves. You can see the greenery down on the ground. So,
Yeah.
it's about all sorts of different types of growth.
Yes.
Growth of the self, and pushing yourself past your limits, out of your comfort zone. Moving yourself forward in ways that you never thought that you could.
Yes.
And using a different voice to do that. Like we all use voices to push us to make us go go go,
Mhm.
and maybe it is that we're using a firm tone of voice with ourselves this time, and we're really going to get up and do it. Like we've sat up and we've sat at the edge of our chair and we thought about doing it, but now we're really going to get at it.
Yes, it very much speaks motivation and drive to me, and I feel like the more action that we take at this time, the more growth we are likely to experience, like in a positive way. So
Right.
now,
Yeah, that was that same aspect that you were talking about. You about I stopped you on the moon aspect, Sagittarius moon. That was the same thing. Like you've got to work toward it,
yeah,
right?
you have to show up
You've
for
got
it.
to put something into. Yeah, you've got to show up to it.
Hmm.
And you have to show up to it wherever you're at. It doesn't have to be fully or wholly if you can't. Just wherever you're at, that's where you show up
Yeah.
for it. Yeah.
Okay, so now for the full moon in Capricorn, the Capricorn vibe, which is very earthen and responsible and tradition oriented and ambition oriented. We've got the Page of Swords. I love this. I love this. I love this because it brings to me a vibe of a little bit of an amateur's vibe. I like pages because they're amateurs. Like they know how to use she knows how to use her sword, but she's not as experienced as some people might be. And that's like knowing how to use our heads, knowing how to make our plans, knowing how to have the conversations that we need to have in order to make the progress that we want to make. Okay. So yes, progress, keep acting, keep moving forward, but also, we want to remember to collaborate. We want to remember to share with people what it is that we're trying to do. Um, bring people in on your plan, friends. Bring people in on your plan. Uh, you won't ever know if it's really a bad plan unless you let people know what it is. You won't ever know if it's really a good plan unless you let people know what it is. Okay. The Page of Swords sort of hesitates to share what they know or what they're thinking because they're like, I'm inexperienced and I might say something wrong. But when it comes to your ambitions, when it comes to what you're trying to create in the world, what you're trying to achieve in the world, it's not stupid to have ambitions. It's not stupid to dream. It's not even stupid to dream of doing things that nobody's done before. Okay, that's sort of like how we make progress in the world, is by doing things that nobody's done before. It always seems impossible until it's done, right? So the first part of that is using your words, expressing yourself, communicating what it is that you're trying to do.
Mhm. I love the Page of Swords because I sometimes when I see it, and I know this isn't the same deck that you're using, but I think it's kind of cut it out. Like, you don't need to be, it's kind of like, you can see the foot that is on just like the firm, the light green ground.
Mhm.
To me, that's like a solid planting. The rest of it is moving or movement, or it's not,
It's not as
as
grounded.
level as it could be. So this is somebody who's been saying, "Oh, when the time is right. Oh, when I get this done. Oh, when I do that. Oh, this. Oh, that." That's that person giving all those excuses, like laying back
Mhm.
on the old stuff. And I'm just like, what you need to do is cut that shit out and move over. You need to move. It's kind of like batting practice to me, like
Mhm.
you can put your arms up here a certain
Mhm.
way, and then but you can't leave it there. You have to swing, you have to go forward, and that means moving those feet. That foot that's ready to
Yeah.
move, that's not just ready to move, you've got to move it at the same
Yeah.
time. All has to happen at the same time in order to hit the ball out of the park.
What I see,
So being in between stage and not listening to your own intuition and going back and forth with it isn't cutting it anymore.
what I see here too is like if you look at the picture, you can kind of see which way the wind is blowing, which is from left to right, and
Yes.
you see this person a little bit being in resistance to going with which way the wind is blowing. And, comparing that to an Eight of Wands card, which is very much go in the direction the wind is blowing, maybe this is just a reminder, Capricorn style, to sort of check yourself before you wreck yourself. Like, know what your plan is, all right? Know what the ambition is, be very clear on the goal, and then go for it.
Right? I'm like, the Page of Swords, is this the, I had a great, I was going to give this card a nickname, but dang it, I forgot what I was going to say. Waiting to speak sometimes because I'm like, ooh, I've got my hand raised. I need to say something now. Sometimes it just goes away, especially when you're after 50, when you're older than 50. Sometimes it doesn't work out. But yeah, this card is probably a level up card, huh?
Yeah. It's, and I really think the leveling up is, letting people know what you're about, not trying to operate in secret or in private. Like, you really got to share.
Right. Okay. Yes. Thank you for saying that. Could this be the card that describes imposter syndrome? Like, really worried about going with the flow of things, like really worried about doing the same thing that somebody else is doing because you can't help but compare yourself to them, as opposed to just doing your own thing and not worrying about what someone else is doing or if someone else is doing
Jennifer,
it. So maybe this is the imposter syndrome card.
You were pointing to this the other day. You were saying, I have all these really good ideas, and then I get online and I find that somebody else has already had it. So, it's almost
right.
Like sometimes we're afraid to share our really good ideas because we're going to find out that somebody already had that idea, and that makes us feel stupid. But it's not stupid; it's smart. Okay, it's yeah. And you can always go ahead with your own idea and do it your own way. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it doesn't have to be that way. I'm just playing around here to see what we can get going on. Apparently, I was hoping to get, hello. I was hoping to get both of these cards up here together somehow, but I don't think that's going to work out. I think we got one too many. Maybe I'll just take my camera off and see if that will do a little bit better. Yeah, not really. It does look like the page is, riding the wands, and that's exactly what we want for this.
Exactly.
Like, get on with it. You got to move. There we go. Yes. I like this. Okay. Yeah, that works. So, do you have anything to round this out with for the week? Do you have any cool suggestions from Astrology Melrose?
So, I'm just going to recap really quick and give guidance for the week. This week, we really are focused on self-expression, on sharing, but we're also focusing on our goals and ambitions. So, there's no making progress without involving other people. We don't really do anything alone. So, if you find yourself struggling to make progress, this is a week that feels very ambitious, very driven, very sweat of the brow labor, trying to get stuff done. But if you feel like, if you need help to get it done, or even if you just think you would like some help to get it done, don't try to just labor away and do it all yourself. Get some help from somebody. Ask a friend. Ask somebody to collaborate with you that can do the work. Okay. This is not a time to just push forward on your own. It is a time to communicate and to bring people in on your plans so that you can succeed and the people around you can celebrate those successes as well.
Thank you so much. I'm like, ooh, should I add myself back in here or not?
Yes. I like your face.
Well, anyway, I don't know how to do that, I don't think, but we'll try. Thank you so much for joining us here on Astrology, the Astro Insights. Let's see if I can add myself back in here. Yay! And thank you for
Yay!
letting me experiment with the tech here while we're live. I think I like what's been happening here. So, um, we are experimenting with some new uploads and some new ways of entertaining and educating everyone. So please, please, if you haven't already, subscribe and hit that notification bell, because can't tell you exactly what the upload schedule is going to be just yet, but we're going to start July 14th with some new content, some new shorts. We're going to get our act together a little bit and see how long that lasts. And I will be releasing a full moon spell, tarot card reading, etc. So hit that notification bell so you see all of those things happening. We are on social media. We're Insta, Facebook. We have a Square site. We have a website, Rose Tyrone Astrology Services, Rose Tyrone Energy Services in some places. And so please hang out with us. The next time we'll be live will be next Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, where we do free tarot card readings. We answer questions that can be answered with a yes or no with tarot cards, and that's always fun. And we've done some fortune telling during that time too that have come true. So if you have a question that's burning away, write it down and come put it in our chat next Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time so we can entertain you. And thank you so much for joining us today. My sweet wife, Mel Rose, up here. We're joining you from Kansas City, Missouri. Please take care of yourselves and everyone around you. And just know that peace starts with yourself first.
Mucho, mucho amor, friends. We'll catch you in the next video.